Leaders in tech are burning out at an absurd rate. Ctrl+Alt+Delete with Lisa Duerre is a no BS conversation with one of the top female executives who spent over 25 years in Silicon Valley. If you're suffering from the always on, never good enough, will replace you today machine called the tech space, this show's for you. Here's Lisa.
I have a question for you today. Is there anyone on your team who you've never met in person? Have you joined a team and you've never even seen your boss physically except for a Zoom screen or perhaps WebEx or Teams? Here's what I know to be true. People are talking about that as if it's a takeaway, that it's making it hard to connect. It's not like what we used to do. And my guest today is proof that it's possible to have a deep, profound connection with someone without ever having met, because that's what happened to me. So I would invite you, as you're listening today, to think about someone on your team, someone in your organization, someone in your community that you want to have a closer relationship with, but you haven't yet had the benefit of an in-person connection. Because I think what you'll see today when Rebecca and I talk and tell our stories and share our insights, there's going to be not only wisdom from our own experience, but also some ahas for you along the way on what you can do to foster relationships at a deeper level. And listen, all of this is around the topic of burnout. All of this is around the topic of self-care, leadership. The themes don't change, but I really want to laser focus in because Rebecca and I have never met. Rebecca and I met on Clubhouse, which is an app where you don't even see the person. We reached out to each other. We've actually tried to record this podcast multiple times, and we've each had bumps along the way where we held space for the other person. And so I just want to highlight and celebrate this beautiful spirit who's here today. Rebecca O'Brien, thank you for being on Ctrl+Alt+Delete and for gracing us with your wisdom, your knowledge, and your spirit.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Lisa. I am honored to be here. I'm so excited that we can share this space together now and speak and inspire and learn here today. I mean, this is really what it's so about. I know when we met a few months ago on Clubhouse, there was an immediate connection of how you spoke and both with your spirit and heart. And that was something I was really drawn to. So I'm so excited to be here today and be a guest on your podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. Like I'm going to get to the formal stuff, everybody, but you're going to experience this energy with me and Rebecca. There's something about to go onto a Clubhouse room, right? You don't have to have hair and makeup. You just show up, you bring your heart, you just speak what's going on. And then these messages come in. And so Rebecca reached out, we talked, we had a conversation. I instantly invited her to the podcast because we're on the same mission, right? The mission is to normalize mental health at work, to normalize self-care is not, bubble baths and, being selfish. Like it's about being worthy of being okay and then being okay, not being okay. Do you know, like there's so much to this. So for those of you listening, think about a time when you had a really important meeting and think about a time when you just weren't ready for that meeting, not because you hadn't prepared, but somewhere emotionally, physically, in your family, something's going on and you're just not your best self. And you really want to postpone that meeting or reset it. And that's what's happened to Rebecca on her side and me. So we'll tell our stories, but we've both canceled on each other, right? Rescheduled in the most polite way.
Yeah.
And we did it in a way to where we can actually hold space for the other person and what's going on for them. And I think that there's so much learning in this as a leader when one of your teammates or direct reports is really struggling to make it safe to not be okay in that moment. It doesn't mean you're forever broken, but maybe it's just a really shitty, crappy day. So we have stories on that. We also have tips and lessons and insights. And let me just share with you a little bit about why Rebecca is so magical, because I'll give you her formal intro now. Rebecca O'Brien is a certified stress management and burnout prevention coach, mindfulness instructor, and nutritionist. And all of that goes so well together. I was giddy when I learned this about Rebecca in the beginning. The holistic approach in her one-on-one coaching and her corporate programs looks at the mind, body, and spirit connection. And if there's one thing I can say about that, for me, that was a huge awakening for myself on my journey out of burnout. I had to see those connections. And guess what, people? She gets tech. She helps IT professionals gain more energy, set boundaries, and harness their true power to create sustainable health and success. And what I know about IT is boundaries. You're always in reaction mode. What I know about IT is sustainable health and success isn't even on the radar with, if you think about everything going on in cyber and what's going on in the world right now. So for you to help those folks really see their worthiness, the importance of their own health, mental, physical, spiritual, it's just a gift to have you here, Rebecca. I'm just going to shut up for a minute, just let you respond. I'm so happy you're here.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. I mean, just hearing, Lisa, when you went into really something came up for me now, just going back in my previous career, because I was in corporate for 15, 16 years, working sales and marketing, different companies. Oracle was one I was with for a few years there off the bat, out of college. And this safe space that we're talking about and being able to actually say no and being able to allow ourselves to take a step back when something has happened in our life, we're having a really, really tough day, bad times, or, something's come up within the past 2 days. It can be whatever is going on. We can be sick with the flu. And I know for myself, for about 15 years, I can say, I did not listen to that voice at all. I would shut that down each and every time. I would just toughen up, get to it, suit up, and really just not reflect on how I was feeling. I was not really connected in my body as I know now, and I was very much on autopilot, but I was not in a space where I actually allowed myself and knew my own worth of, I'm going to say no, or I'm going to postpone this, and I'm going to meet with this and share vulnerably, or share, as much as I can with the other person of, I can't do this today. Let's, revisit this in 1 week, in 2 weeks, or 2 months, and be okay with that. And I think be okay with that first and foremost ourselves, because we can't really control the other person and how their reaction will be and how they are responding to this. Thankfully, we are both in that space of really understanding the psychological safety and align with that we can support each other through it. But I know for so many years, both with colleagues and bosses and other leadership or team managers, that was just a no-go. It was not understandable, and it was almost frowned upon.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that straight off. I just had a recollection that, I want to make sure when whoever is listening right now recognizes that we're not sitting in some, world that's not realistic. We are bringing forward what we know and what we've seen and what we work with our clients as well. And I think for me, what really, when I reflect back on not having boundaries for myself and my own well-being, it always shows up. There's a story I used to tell myself is that, that would be weak or unprofessional. I can't tell you my mom's work ethic. My mom never called in sick, ever. That was never modeled. And I love my mom. My mom has passed on, and surely you know what I'm talking about, because she would be the first to say it. If you show weakness, then you're not safe, right? So work through it, power through it. And I see this at schools with parents who have sick kids, just pre-pandemic a lot more, but just send the kid to school because you can't possibly call in sick because you're weak, because you actually are a parent, right? Have a need outside of work. And my own personal example is I took so much pride in what I did when I was in corporate. And we used to do these amazing go deep technical trainings for engineers. They would come in from around the world. We would make sure they got everything they needed for the next release, connection with each other, building relationships, and fun. And there was an evening we had a dinner that we were running, and I had written thank you cards to some of the key staff who had done above and beyond. And I wanted to be there personally to thank them. And I remember sitting at the table and saying hello to everybody, standing up, literally just standing up. I'm just practice, standing up with a card in my hand. And I turned to the side. So I pivoted above my waist and I felt a pop in my ankle. And there was this wave of nausea through me. I felt dizzy. I was in shock. And I'm handing the card, with the face like, thank you. And I'm like, if anyone's watching the video, see the face, because the face says it all. I'm crinkled, my eyes are scrunched. I'm looking very confused. And then I realized, I think I broke my ankle. And everyone around me, what can we do? Let's get you some ice. How can we, everyone's willing, right? I got it. Just give me some ice. I'll stay. Put my foot up, don't walk anymore, and stayed at that event. Now, I was surrounded by capable, competent, caring colleagues. And what I know, Rebecca, at that moment is I didn't feel worthy enough to take care of myself. And I didn't even allow myself to recognize I had just broken a bone. Now, it was a fracture, whatever it ended up being. I went the next day. I also was embarrassed. I had such shame that turning sideways could break an ankle. And I was in denial, right? And so when I think about, fast forward to you and I now, we were scheduled to go live. You hop in, I show up, and I look you in the eye and I'm like, I honor your time. You are so important to me. And I want to do a good job for you and for our listeners. And I'm not capable of that today. Right now, I don't feel that I have it in me. And you were in different time zones. You were like, I totally get it. Let's reschedule with love and grace and compassion. And then you actually held space for me to process what I was feeling, because I was embarrassed. I felt and I'm realizing now how far I've come on an individual basis as just a human being, because I tell you what, if I ever break my ankle again, I'm going to remember, if everyone's willing to help you, let them help you. That's part of the circle of life, giving and receiving. And so I just want to share that story to open up the conversation that, I can imagine that had I said to my team, I need to go to the emergency room, I'm going to go call an Uber, or can someone drive me? You guys all have it, right? Please hand out these cards. Everything would have been fine. But I treated it as if I was the only one who could have done that. And I think that's where people get stuck, is they don't triage. You listen, if you have a board meeting and you're the senior leader, you're going to do the board meeting. But if it's a team meeting and everyone would be happy to get an hour back while you go take a power nap, it's not going to break the company. Do you know? No. So that triage, that prioritization. So I'm just curious with what I'm sharing here and what what are your thoughts on that? And how can we help people remember that, you can still show up, but you don't have to show up for everything.
Yeah.
Right. Where it's safe, you can bow out.
So much.
I'll pause and just, the floor is yours, my friend.
No, so I mean, so much with that. And just when you mentioned the denial, I can recognize and resonate with that myself, of shutting something down and kind of both dismissing it, but making it smaller than what it is. Oh no, I just sprained it, or it's just, maybe my shoelaces were tied too tight. Maybe it was a little fracture. Totally. You're thinking up all these kind of excuses or thoughts on it of what it could be, because it absolutely cannot be that I just broke my ankle. And number
standing still.
Standing still. And number two of that, of not taking action on that immediately. And I can recognize that in myself, of doing that so many times. The pain was, I had this picture for myself. I am so strong and capable. I am so resilient. Nothing can touch me. I often speak about this kind of superwoman mentality that I had, where I was like, I got this. I can handle anything. Just, give it to me, throw it to me, whatever it is. Very difficult asking for help. And I think also with what you mentioned now in your story, and I thank you so much for sharing that, is it's difficult enough to ask for help, but there's also the other side of actually receiving that when help is then offered to you, and knowing that worth, instead of immediately going, no, it's fine. I'm okay. I'm great. I'm fine. No problem. It's not that bad. And just really pausing in that and knowing for ourselves. And Absolutely. That is a self-love and self-care and self-worth, everything of those lovingly and kindness and compassions for ourselves. They also take, space. They take space in both our heart, body, and something that I think we need to really recognize it and allow yourself to have a pause and to not react with something and saying, oh, it's fine, I'm brushing this off, or it's okay, I'll sort this out. Because like you're saying, with teams and meetings and whatever is going on that day, if something is not aligned or something else is coming up and there is a struggle or there's something you're pushing together with just to force it, I don't think that that's going to show up and deliver or be really useful to anyone as of 100%. Instead of pushing it and it's at 40, but you're just going to push it through to 60% because we have to do it on this exact day at this exact time. Yeah. Instead of just taking a break and pausing there and saying, you know what, let's do this on Thursday instead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And letting it breathe and letting it gain energy to then be a meeting or an event or whatever it is, to be at 80, 90, 100% of giving everything and everyone a chance for that.
Yeah. When I'm hearing you talk, what's showing up for me, I'm thinking about, our batteries on our phones. Right. And you can get a lot done with that 10%. You're at the airport, your plane got delayed and you need to rebook something. That 10% can go a long way, but then it rests. Right. But if you're always at that 10%, just barely charged, hanging on, like that's the visual I had when you were talking. And I've been thinking a lot about, with the clients that I've been working with and the conversations I've been having, I think everybody's living in that 10% right now. Yeah. And I'd like to just invite everyone to think about, how can you leverage that 10% of the battery for the right reasons? Me saying to you, can we reschedule the podcast? We have a lot of control. Yeah. If we have done a live stream and we had promoted it and there were other things going on, we might have had a different conversation. Maybe I would have had someone sub in, or you would have led, or we would have figured it out together. But because there was so much within our control, I didn't feel like we needed to take that 10% and expend it all there. And so, what tips do you have for people for prioritizing or getting clear on that? Because boy, when you're in it, that 10% feels like it's 100 because you're just pushing, but it's really only 10%. Yeah. What do you tell your clients? How do you help them with that?
I mean, I love when you do just an analogy of the phone and the batteries on the phone, because it's so true. We're absolutely in a panic or a frenzy when we're at 15, 10% of finding the charger and get this, before it's at 1%. Like, that is just our priority number one. And why is it not a priority then with ourselves, right, especially with our health? And for me, I speak to so many of clients that a foundation needs to be in place, and a foundation of healthy habits. And a lot of people might, just brush this off, or I'm eating this and this week, or I'm having a drink on Saturday, Sunday. I can recover my sleep at the weekend, whatever it is. It does actually come down to that foundation of both our self-awareness of where are we at. Am I, really looking at, I'm running at 10% right now. That is not going to last. And I think really acknowledging that to be where you can then set boundaries and you can really reflect and connect with yourself of, I have no energy right now. I'm frustrated. I'm moody. I'm having aches and pains in my body. My hair, I know for women, or this is one for me, especially with burnout, my hair was starting to fall out. Mm-hmm. And just looking at all these different symptoms, digestive issues. How are we going about with exercise and finding time for that? If you are burnt out, yes, it might not be going out for a run, but just the exercise of simply putting things in place and reprioritizing of, I'm going to get my sleep under control because those are the things I can control. I'm going to look at my eating habits. The simplest thing of just drinking water, and how are we hydrating ourselves? Mm-hmm. Because it's the minimal, like it's 2% of our dehydration. As soon as we're there, that's affecting our concentration, our focus, our creativity, everything. So if you're combining, all these things with, let's say, not great sleep, not great food or hydration, nutrition, not going out exercising, the self-care, not really reflecting and having the awareness and connection to yourself, where you are acknowledging and really allowing yourself to say, I need to prioritize myself, then yes, that charge is going to drop to 5 to 1 or down to 1%. Instead of working, having this foundation and making it work for you and building that up slowly but surely, because that foundation is for the rest of your life.
Yeah. When I'm hearing you talk, I want to just say it's not if, it's when.
Yeah.
You and I both had that 10%, got down to 1%, screen went black. You're like, I need a charger. Where's the charger? Anything, putting the wrong cord in, trying whatever you can to keep that phone going. Right.
Yeah.
And I know, and I'd love for you, whatever you're comfortable with. Imagine if you could look back and tell your younger self, you're at 10%. Like the most important things are sleep and hydration.
Yeah.
Get that in check. I don't care about anything else. Just get more water and please go to bed on time. Do you know what that would do exponentially instead of the depletion that happens? Because I know your story. So would you share with us, when you go from the 10% to the 1 to there's nothing left, the cord doesn't work, and you have a dead phone, like complete burnout. What happened to you? What's your story on burnout?
Well, my story, I mean, it's great that we're speaking of these, the simple but sustainable foundation of both sleep, nutrition, exercise, hydration, because those are few, I would say, those things that I still had in place, but I was burning on a very, very low flame and burning it to the complete ground. I wasn't taking care of my sleep. There was a number of factors I wasn't taking care of, both myself, and that came out within symptoms and different signs of burnout. But for me, I understand now today that I was completely disconnected to myself and just living, from here, mind, head up, body, from the neck down, body, that was turned off. That was shut off. Everything was on autopilot. And so much for me was dismissing my needs, not honoring my needs, being totally disconnected, not having any self-awareness, not having any boundaries. So it did accumulate during the years. I also know that, of course, a lot of it stemmed from childhood things that I didn't take care of either. Because for me, it was emotions, and we could speak of and had an open, conversation in the household. But I still had so many things that I was not dealing with, and various, traumas, and how I was just programmed to go from seeing my parents do that, as you shared with your mom earlier there. My dad's Irish, my mom's Swedish, and they are tough cookies, and they are the examples of, head down, let's go, get the work done. And I just continued on that path of straight from school out to get a job, working, doing, various degrees, and then studying at the same time. And I was not taking care of myself. Like I was just at the very end. And even before my burnout, I think with relationships, of course, this takes place as well, because everything with burnout, it's not always just work, and often is the case. It's several parts of our lives and several parts that are not in alignment. And that was really what happened to me. I was in a bad relationship at the very end as well. And I think that's what really broke kind of the straw on the camel's back of, I knew something was not right because I was 35 at that stage. And I felt like I was 95.
Mm-hmm.
And a few of the symptoms kept up. You know, I went for almost a year to different hospitals and to different doctors of going through. They thought it was my thyroid. I went for CAT scans. They thought it was a brain tumor. I went to the dementia hospital. They thought it was something there. So all these tests and just shuffling to different places, because I knew that I had no energy. I didn't feel that I was stressed. So anytime I got that question, I was like, no, I'm not.
Totally.
I don't have any kids. It's nothing there. So definitely like not aware of anything really, but I did know I was not feeling great. And then with more of the symptoms, like it came up, focus and concentration gone, hair loss, aches and pains in my body. It was with digestive issues. I mean, all the above. Like I can look at this now of symptoms and both behavioral, cognitive, emotional, physical, all of them, and just check them all off. And even when I was diagnosed with depression and burnout at the very end. And I remember I still went home that day and was completely disconnected and in disbelief. That's the thing. I was in disbelief because I called my boss and I was like, they're saying it's this. I don't think it is. I'll be back in 2-3 weeks. I'll check emails at home. This can't be the case.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm with you.
Yeah, no,
okay.
I know,
Yep.
And, I hung up the phone with my boss, went to bed, and I could not get out of bed the next morning. And that was it. Like my body shut down for 6 months. I was in bed 23 hours a day. Like my body had just had enough.
Yeah.
Like it was shut down.
Isn't it fascinating that when you disconnect, which I believe tech lives, from the neck up too. It's all about brains, right?
Yeah.
And intelligence, innovation, right? It's all neck up. And oh my gosh, Rebecca, for anyone listening, like when your doctor tells you have this, just go along for the ride and believe it, right? Because denying it makes it worse.
Yeah.
I too called my boss and said, well, my doctor told me it was Silicon Valley-itis. So we ruled out a heart attack, which I thought I was having because my whole body was having reactions.
Yeah.
And what I know is that the body whispers. Our body is such a gift. It's so kind.
Oh,
it's like, hello, headache. Hi. Right. You might be dehydrated. Could you please drink some water? Right. Or, oh, digestive problems. Oh, yeah, I'm having a hard time processing what you're putting in. And I'm feeling all these feelings you're not dealing with. And so I'm taking the brunt of it. Hello. Like, I just want to say to my body, thank you for loving me in my lack of loving you.
Yes.
Like, thank you for loving me in my lack of loving you, because boy, did I not love, respect, and honor all of those whispers until they became screams.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then your body's like, F you, I'm done. Like, I've been trying to tell you. I memos. I took out the airplane ad with the clouds. Like, I'm, you're reading books or hearing topics, but you're immune to this. No.
Yeah.
Right. Like, oh, I slept for 3 months. I did not sleep. I didn't do the 24 hours every day. I was a fairly recent mom. And my husband was just like, what the what? So I lay in bed on my phone and still work. They called my doctor and he's like, she's not getting it. Like, she's laying down, but she's still working. He was so worried I was going to die. And I was just like, yeah, I got it. I'm still working. So I had to go back to the doctor and basically have one of those meetings where he says, if you don't help yourself, I can't help you. And he sat with my husband and they said, okay, what's her vice? Like, what is she doing? Like, I'm still in the room, people. Well, she's always on her phone. She's still connected to her email and no one at work is telling her to stop. Right? Well, yeah, what are they I was the boss. They're not going to tell me to stop. No one's going to tell the boss to stop. Right? So my husband went and got me a personal phone because I was always like, I'll just do everything on one phone. Then he took my work phone and he hid it from me and he let the battery drain.
Oh,
and
wow.
I can't tell you how profoundly grateful I am that he had the courage to stand up to the denial that was going on and love me enough through it. And basically I had to go through withdrawal, no joke, from work, work withdrawal. And you know, I don't know for you, but what I found was when I finally let go and I allowed myself like the healing powers of sleep, the restorative power, like our bodies are amazing when you give them what they need to be able to do amazing things. And about 2 months in, I was like, I feel like going to the beach. I'm just going to go to the beach today and have lunch. Okay, I'll be back. And I started just like seeking joy again and nature and quiet. And I share that because I think what I picked up in your story and what I know in my own self is that anyone listening right now is probably thinking, I got it covered. Don't worry about it. And what I do now with my clients, and I'm sure you do too, is, you know, the body scan, the pausing, like, where are you feeling that right now? Like, what's really going on? Because I believe the head-heart connection is essential to be a high-performance leader, to be a high-performance company. So I'm constantly trying to tap them back into their hearts now, and like here and breathing. So what tips do you have in your world with the clients that you work? How do you help people tap back into their own knowing and their own experience of their bodies so that they don't have to, like you and I, have our bodies flip us off and be like, I'm done. And that their body actually can be like, oh, I want to be a part of this solution here. What tips or suggestions do you have?
I mean, there's so much power in the pause, and that is where it at. And of course, with different meditations, different mindfulness practices, body scans are a big one that I do, both guided, you know, with my clients, but also that they can find themselves that they enjoy. If you know, you need to find that voice or something that is really listening to you and speaking to you on that energy where you really feel taking care of and taking, you know, we don't like everyone. We can't like everyone. Everyone doesn't like us, but really finding what works for you. I think that is so important. And that is definitely number one, really finding the connection to emotion and with ourselves. I do a little practice of getting this habit started of putting little Post-it notes around your house, you know, one in the bathroom, one in the kitchen, one wherever in the bedroom, maybe one in the closet, you know, in the refrigerator, wherever you go. And it just says, you know, pause, what are you feeling right now in your body? And to get that kind of memory and muscle working of checking in with yourself, because it comes down to checking in with ourselves and feeling this connection, like you're saying. And I do this several times a day, each and every day. And it's the biggest gift I have given myself, of just pausing and knowing, what am I feeling right now? And how can I honor my needs?
Okay. Everyone who's listening right now, please write this down, because what Rebecca's talking about is absolutely the pathway to clarity, right? And so what I learned, and it's just different words, it's the same thing I'll highlight for you, is that as a project manager at work, whether you're managing your budget, you're managing people, a tape out, you know, the new product launch, you're checking in all the time. Like, you're constantly looking and seeing, where are we, what's working, what's not, what are the risks? We got to do that with ourselves. And that's something I'm very good at externally, and I've worked very hard on internally. And the two things that really helped me figure that out is, how do I want to feel? So when I set goals, how do I want to feel? because so much I think of my working with a broken ankle or working laying in bed was I wanted to feel valued. I wanted to feel that I was making an impact. I wanted to feel responsible, accountable. Like I wanted people to respect and rely on me. And you know what? It actually took away from all of those feelings I wanted to feel, because they're all whispering like, what the hell is Lisa doing? Why is she still doing this? Doesn't she trust us? Doesn't she think we, it was so against how I wanted to feel. So getting clear on how I want to feel as far as the goals we're setting and the choices we're making, it also helped me back 4 years ago when I was really working on what I was eating. I've fallen off. Listen, with the pandemic, I forgot this question myself. I'm going to be the first to admit.
Yeah.
When I do that question, how do I want to feel when I eat this pizza?
Yeah.
You know, will this pizza give me the feeling I want? Will this margarita give me the feeling I want? If I want to feel that I'm, you know, healthy and vibrant and energized, the pizza and margarita are not going to give it to me.
No.
I forget that sometimes, and then I'll go for it, be like, oh yeah, there it is again, Duerre. Like, welcome to being human. So how do I want to feel was one. And then the second thing that when you said really stood out for me, I have an amazing mentor in my life, and he wrote a book called Living Well from Within. His name is Daniel Friedland, and he taught me the phrase. So Daniel Laporte taught me, how do I want to feel?
Yeah.
Daniel Friedland taught me what matters most right now. Not what matters most. Like, I want to really lean into right now.
Right now.
Because right now is all you have.
Yeah.
So what matters most right now? So when I think about what you're saying and how you're looking at it, I see these overlaying on them. It's like a big warm hug.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talking about, you know, and so for the leader who's looking ahead and being like, oh my gosh, the holidays are coming, and budgets and performance reviews and kids, you know, homecoming dances and pandemic and booster shots and like all of this, to get so grounded in the very present right now, you know, hand on your heart and be like, I'm feeling overwhelmed. What matters most right now?
Yeah.
And how do I want to feel? I mean, it's just such a beautiful marriage of what we're talking about here. Do you have a mantra or a phrase that would be the other side of the hug here that we could, you know, have?
I mean, I do. It's such a gift. I mean, like I said, with honoring our needs, and even one that I would add to that. I'll get to that just now. But I mean, for me, I always check in and just ask myself of what am I feeling right now? What is going on right now? Do I need to, and from knowing myself and doing this work and really getting clear on that self-awareness, self-mastery, mindfulness has been a big part of this for me that I'm very, very passionate about and use every day just through mindful workday practices. But it's listening to the littlest thing. If it is, do I need to go make a spirulina smoothie right now because I need my energy level? I need to support them. Do I need some fresh air and the forest for an hour to clear my mind? You know, do I need to do a stretch or something for my body, for my aches, support that? You know, whatever it is, do I need to take, you know, 2 hours today and just go for a little drive to another coffee shop, just to get a complete change of scenery and new inspiration and new creativity? Whatever it is in that very moment, I will take time. And it can be a 5-minute thing. It can also be an hour and a half thing. That's completely up to you and what you really need. I think what's also so beautiful with this is the examples you were just speaking of now. You know, this project is going on, my kids are here, this booster shot, you know, Thanksgiving is just around the corner. I would also look at, you know, what is in my control and what is outside of my control.
Say it again. I love it. Love it.
What is inside of my control and what is outside of my control? And, you know, write them down by a list side by side. And then the ones that you can control, you know, put an X on the others. The ones you can control, look at them and say, okay, what am I going to do then today? And pick one and work on that and then cross that off.
Yeah, I love this
and just
so
the
much.
Simplest thing.
It's the simplest thing. And when you're overwhelmed, you think, I don't have time for this mindfulness crap. I don't have time for meditating. Go outside, blah, blah, blah. And I find that having accountability or a support person to remind you is so beneficial. So my husband and I do this a lot. And, what matters most right now? And he was like, okay, breathing. We just like stop and breathe. Like breathing can actually give you that pause. What matters most right now? And the control piece, I think, is so essential, because don't we believe we can control everything if we just try hard enough?
Oh,
I mean,
I know.
right? So what
a
gift. What a gift.
Yeah.
All right. So let me ask you this, Rebecca. When people know you, of course, they go on your website, they find you on LinkedIn, hear you at Clubhouse, etc. What's something people don't know about you? What's an interesting fact or tidbit that, would let us get to know you better?
Oh, what a wonderful question. I love this. There's so many. What should I say? I would say, let's see. I mean, what comes to mind, of course, is just my passion of arts and culture and gastronomy, food, that whole, I worked in hospitality before, but that is such a passion of mine. Travel as well. Like it is just got my heart and soul. I enjoy that so much. It really brings me so much joy. And that is kind of, that is my happy place, to really go out and experience new little things, new little cities, not directly going to tourist spots or so, but just out traveling and trying something new and seeing beautiful things. I mean, art for me, and just nature, and being able to pause in that and respect the work. I admire that so much. I love it. That really fills me up.
So when I think about this, like, I want to go on vacation with you. I can't imagine how exciting it would be. But is there a special spot that you're like, everyone has to go there at least once in their lifetime, of all the travels you've done?
Yes, I would probably say, and now I'm getting a complete forget about it. San Sebastian in Spain.
Okay. And what is it about San Sebastian in Spain for you?
It's just like this. It just looks like it's from the movies. Like, it's on the other side. So it's the west coast of Spain, just above Portugal, the small little town. And it just looks like it's from a film. Like, it was nothing I could imagine. I didn't really know about city. Like, food wise, yes, there's some just the most fantastic Michelin star restaurants there in the world. Like, there's a few there that are just out of this land. But for me, it was just seeing all the beauty, like the buildings, the people, the sceneries, the landscape, the design, just such a magical place.
When you describe it, here's what I'm hearing, and I think probably happening for the listener too. It's almost like the full body experience. It's connection to all of your senses.
Yeah.
Am I picking up on that right?
Yeah.
So you described like what you can see, what you can feel, what you can taste, and I'm like that when I hear you talk from a standpoint of being alive and being connected, having an immersive experience when you're new and you have to use all your senses sounds like one of your, I don't know, superpowers to help stay grounded in the present. Am I picking up on that right?
Yeah. No, I would say so. I would say so. Absolutely. I found, even through this journey, I mean, I can say absolutely, with my mental health, and I think going through the experience that I did, and with depression and burnout and that recovery and coming, through, and the outside of that, yes, I'm continuously getting to know myself, and it will still be a journey for the rest of our lives. I'm very thankful for that, of learning and growing. But one thing that did definitely come out of that is I know that I am a very sensitive person, and I pick up a lot on energies and everything around me, both with, my space, mindfulness, every little part of my life is that definitely needs to come first. You know, one big thing I did was I got rid of my TV after my burnout. And I just said,
Wow.
I'm done. I don't want that. I don't, you know, that is not bringing me joy. It is not serving me in any way. And it's one of the best decisions I've made in my life. Like, it's
That
just
is
brought me
amazing.
so much peace.
Well, here's what I know about sensitivity. When you say I'm a sensitive person, I want to double click on that for people listening. That doesn't mean you're weak or like you cry easily. Well, here's what I know about sensitivity, because there's many people in my life who have what's called highly sensitive person. So it's about the nervous system. So I think what you're talking about, just want to clarify for anyone who's listening in, it doesn't mean you're weak or you're broken. It really means you pick up on the nuances and the subtleties and the energy, and you're affected deeply. You have like a rich inner world where everything that's input, needs to be processed. So of course the TV going away is a good thing. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
And I believe in tech. There are a lot of people that have these supercharged nervous systems that don't know it and judge themselves or feel like there's something wrong with them, when actually it's a massive gift for humanity.
It is.
I really appreciate you bringing that into the conversation.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely. And for me, I open that, I lean into that in every possible way, and with my life and intuition, that really goes hand in hand. And that's another part of it, letting the mind, body, spirit connection really align and leaning into that.
That's beautiful. And I have to do full disclosure as you're talking. So anyone watching the video is going to be like, why are you turning around, Lisa? Well, menopause, hot flashes. I'm wearing a sweater. I turned my fan on. I was worried about sound. That was really happening, right? And I want to put that into the conversation too. Let's talk about burnout, mental health, worthiness, all the different layers of life, menopause, supercharged nervous systems. Like there's nothing off topic for anyone listening that we can't find a way to make it safe, when you can find someone who's willing to hold space and to lean into the discomfort of the vulnerability of sharing that. You just shared the highly sensitive piece, right? I just shared menopause, and now we make it safer for somebody else.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So high five on just calling it, right? Yeah.
High five. I mean, you are not alone. And that's the thing.
You want to see here's how big the fan is. It's no joke. I mean, that's a fan, right? And I aim it at my feet. Yeah, I get hot. Right?
Yeah.
Talk about nervous.
Good for you. No, good for you having that fan. And that's the thing. Again, honoring our needs, listening to what do I need right now? This is going on, instead of just like shutting it down, dismissing it. I'll do that later. It's not that bad.
Yes.
Listening and honoring what you need right now.
So much. I remember being at work, and menopause is a long journey, people. And telling my husband, my glasses keep fogging up. I'm worried about being, doing presentations. I'm worried about people thinking I'm old and like just wanting the millennial now. And I'm worried about losing, my impact, everything that I wanted to feel, I was worried about losing. And I'll tell you, here's another great story about my husband. He came in on the weekend and he found a fan that matched my office decor, and he clipped it to the bottom of my desk so that no one would see it, but I could still get cool. And there were a few people at work that knew I had this, because I'm like, check out this fan, right? But it's not something that got talked about. And it needs to be talked about. Women go through menopause. There are things that happen, right? And it also can cause burnout too, when you consistently deny that going on. And your body, again, is like, your body is not shy in menopause. Like, hello, right?
Yeah.
So I just really appreciate that we could do that right now and just have this ebb and flow in the conversation.
Yeah. It's
so I'd love to ask you. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, we're human beings. That's what it is. At the end of the day, we are human beings. We are not human doings.
Right? Amen. Amen. And that is hard to learn in a world of always on, never good enough. We'll replace you tomorrow. Right.
Yeah.
And you know what? Part of that's in your own brain. It's not all the company culture. Part of it is your fear, just like mine, worrying about, if I go to the hospital after I break my ankle, they might not need me. Or, if I admit I'm in menopause, I might just get written off. And part of that, you own yourself, right? So one of the things we have on this fabulous Ctrl+Alt+Delete podcast is we have a playlist where we bring songs to the listeners so that they can continue feeling how they want to feel when we're done. Yeah. And I would love, there's so much here in what we're talking about, pause and being worthy and self-worth, about giving yourself that moment and choosing. Is there a song that comes to mind that we could put on our playlist that might be a wonderful moment for reflection or reminders when people are feeling the frenetic frenzy and needing to pause? What's a song that we could add to our list?
Mm-hmm. Well, I am very much, I would say, old school in music.
Okay.
I'm very much, I wouldn't say stuck, but lovingly now. I love my 70s, 80s, early 90s music. Like that is what I've grown up on. That has always been my first love. And I continue to listen to that. Not that there's not amazing music being made today, but I really am, for myself, that's where my heart and soul is. And Bruce Springsteen has always just been, my everything. All this music, it is very difficult to pick one favorite song, but I will say one that I listen to if I am feeling I need a little hug, like we've spoken of today, and a little encouragement, and a little just, a little hand on my shoulder whilst I am going after my dreams and going after my goals and, really believing in myself, is I love his song, Working on a Dream.
Oh.
And I think that it is so beautiful. I mean, he has amazing music, both, like I said, from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and still now new music. I mean, this is quite a new song as well. It's not something back in the day with the E Street Band. I mean, it's something that has just come out in I would say the most recent years, but I love that song. It's so beautiful.
I'm going to go listen to it because here's the thing. When I think about it, because we're getting ready to wrap, right? Yeah. And I'm thinking about, how do people find you? What's the song? And Working on a Dream. Like, if your dream is to be fully alive, to be really present for those moments that matter, to have a tremendous impact on your company, on your family, on your community, I mean, on the world. I couldn't think of a better song, Working on a Dream. I can't wait to add that.
Oh, you'll love it. And the video is even better. Like, the video is just, I mean, him, he's just all heart and soul, and it's filmed in his home studio. It's black and white. It's just beautiful.
Well, so as we're working on a dream, if people want to connect with you, Rebecca, what's the best way for them to connect with you? I mean, I know how I found you, but let's give them the direct access, make one less stress for them. How can people find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Social medias, LinkedIn, Instagram, Clubhouse, everything is Wellness by Rebecca. So you can search on all those social media platforms, Wellness by Rebecca. And that's also my website, wellnessbyrebecca.com.
Well, okay. People don't know this, but Rebecca and I pulled one of my Truth Bomb cards before we went live. Let it be easy. You just made it so easy for them to find you. I love this. You've given us tips today that are so easy to implement and are small and have such profound impact. It's not like you're saying, go take this 6-month program and I'll make your world better. You're like, drink more water. How do you want to feel? Look at your patterns and habits. Look at your childhood beliefs. What's been instilled in you? Take a moment to just recognize your own worthiness and prioritize your self-care as you do your cell phone. Do you know, like, you've made it really easy today for people to do something for themselves. And I'm forever grateful that we had that moment in Clubhouse and we both did something about it. And so I'll circle full circle. Look at the conversation Rebecca and I have had today. We have never met. It is possible to make a deep connection through Zoom with your colleagues, with your customers, with your community. So please check the belief system you may be holding about this makes it harder. Because it's how you show up And it's
Yeah.
it's how you lead. It's what you share that makes those relationships happen. And Rebecca, it has been such a privilege for me today to be with you, to show this and so much more. Thank you for being on Control Alt
Oh,
Delete.
thank you. Thank you so much. It's been an honor. I'm so happy we got to speak with this and share, together in a safe space and with vulnerable conversation, and just leaving your listeners with some tips and tools and just taking small steps. Like I say to my clients, and I'm sure Lisa as well, like some things are one day at a time. And I think we should be present at this moment today and then the next day. But there are also days it's 1 hour at a time. And that's okay too. That is absolutely okay.
What a gift. Everybody, let it be easy. Go listen to Working on a Dream. We'll put it on the playlist for you. And make sure you follow Wellness by Rebecca and spread the word. Get all of her amazing resources and tools and everything she's talking about. And who knows, you might find us on Clubhouse together again soon too. Right.
Yes.
But for now, let it be easy. Take very good care of yourself and know that you matter. All right. Make it a great day, everyone.
That was great content, but let's be honest. If you don't get the support you need and start making changes in your life and work as a leader in tech, you can expect regret and burnout in the near future. Lisa can help you get kick-ass results at work without burning out, so you can be present for the moments that matter to you and your loved ones. Take your first step at rebootwithlisa.com.